works two skills. Close placement of awareness, so you're training your attention. How many people need more exercise for their attention? Raise your hand. Should pretty much be everybody. So in order to accomplish any task, you have to have concentrative ability. You have to have the ability to direct your energy. Even if you have will and you have a noble cause, but your mind is dispersed, it won't get done, or you'll get sidetracked or you get distracted, things don't get done. Close placement of the attention begins to train like a mental gym. This Tibet house is Bob Thurman's mental gym. We can just call it Bob Thurman's mental gym. You're coming to train your awareness so that you can actually consciously, volitionally direct your awareness where you would like to without it taking you for a ride. On the flip side of that, once you get competent at it, once you get competent at putting it in one place, then something happens that it doesn't fight you anymore. It actually just goes, ah. And you feel peaceful. That's on the flip side of being able to sustain your attention voluntarily. So I talked about last week, there are different meditation techniques, and each of the different meditation techniques takes you to a different location, just like a subway. It has a different result. This shamatha meditation technique, concentration, increases your concentrative ability to focus so that you're not distracted, but then on the flip side is the sense of peace. Rest. Then we're going to move to another type of meditation called mindfulness or bare attention, where we're not just so focused on a tiny little piece of real estate. Now we open the awareness to include the whole body. So you can say, in a way, the point of focus is the whole body. But it's not a static thing, it's a moving thing. If you just, right now, feel there's all kinds of things happening in your body. There's little blood vessels, and blood moving, and aches and pains, and nooks and crannies, and tightness, and places where it's relaxed, and places where it's dull, and then moments where there's nothing. And maybe in your body there's also something called sensations, which are half of emotions. Emotions have, like a coin, two sides. One side is sensations, one side is thought. So anger, for example, when it's sensations, is just raw energy, like heat. Then the thought part of it is, I'm angry, this person did that, and there's a whole story connected to it. So what we want to do in the mindfulness of sensations is expand the awareness to be with the body and all of the sensations arising in the present moment, including the raw material, half of our emotions. This is where the capacity thing comes in, because most of us, depending on how you were raised, have a limit to your capacity for what you feel. If you were raised in a chaotic environment, or you were raised by parents that weren't so emotionally regulated themselves or emotionally present themselves, you probably got very little training in how to work with your emotions. And you probably adapted as a result in one of two ways. You either shut down your emotions completely and went from your right brain to your left brain and became a very detached, intellectual, reasonable, rational human being. And the world then went celebration. Yeah, you can become a lawyer, you can become a doctor, you can become a this, that, the other, and you can make lots of money, and that's great. But then you became half a human being. And that's why your relationships aren't successful, because you're with a partner who would love for you to feel with them. And you're unavailable to them. And you're unavailable to yourself. On the other extreme, you're somebody who actually feels too much, and you get overwhelmed, or what's called in the psychotherapy literature, flooded. You become like the little emotional beaker inside of you, spills over its threshold of capacity. And when that happens, like obsessive compulsion or anxiety disorder, you start grasping at things outside of yourself to begin to modulate or regulate what's happening inside of you. So you could be turning to the booze, you could be turning to the food, you could be turning to this one or that one, help me, save me, grasp at me, and just think what it's like for somebody who you're around where you start coming in at them like this. What do they tend to do? They start going. And then what happens to your emotional situation when they go? It just gets worse and worse and starts spiraling out of control. So then you hit a maximum threshold and then you probably shut down completely. So then life becomes this process of shut down, overwhelm, shut down, overwhelm, shut down, overwhelm, shut down, overwhelm, all because there's no emotional training system. There's no gym that you can go to help you regulate your emotions. So this particular meditation is really, really good for that. You create a safe environment. We're all here together to do the same thing because we all probably didn't get enough. So then your body becomes a laboratory and you're sitting here. Instead of focusing just on the breath, you're focusing on what's actually happening in my experience right now. Many of us, maybe half, nothing much is happening right now. So you just continue to watch. A bunch of us came through after a really stressful situation, or maybe we had a really difficult interpersonal interaction and we've got hot emotions going on. So what do you do there? You just do the same thing. You just become present with it. Feel it. Cut the story out. That's really important. Instead of feeling it and going, oh, that son of a bee, how could they do that to me, and making it worse, which is like taking a pencil and poking a scared animal in a cage that has nowhere to go, aggravating it. Just feel the energy of it coming up. If there's pain in your body, same thing. Pain is just pulsating energy. Try to cut out the story of why does this have to happen to me, and I came to Tibet House to meditate and now I'm in pain and now I'm distracted, now I might as well quit. Well, I quit on everything, I'm such a bad person. I might as well, whatever, going off myself, whatever it is. Cut it out. Just see it as energy. It's just probably vibrating or pulsating, or it's dull or it's sharp or whatever, and you try to stay with it. And the first few times it kind of sucks because, like everything, like riding a bike the first time, you fall and you flail and you don't do it so well and it's kind of hard and it's miserable and whatever. But it's okay. You're in it for the long haul. If you're in this room, you're in it for the long haul. So that's emotional regulation, mindfulness of sensations. And it's really, really useful because most of us, let's say on a beaker, on the side of the beaker, you have 2 mLs, 4 mLs, 6 mLs, 8 mLs. Say most of us are having 2 to 4 mLs capacity, but life in the modern world, and especially in New York City, demands much more of us than that. You're not going to be able to survive just on 2 or 4 mLs. You need a huge capacity in order to tolerate everybody else who doesn't want to come and work on themselves, right? Who's like flailing and angry and pissed off and wants everything from you and doesn't want to give anything in exchange or whatever it is. So you have to have enormous capacity to live in an urban environment. You have to take responsibility being a yogi. You have to be the bigger person. You have to go the extra mile. Capacity building. What's happening right now is we hit our threshold and we're reaching for all this stuff that in itself becomes destructive. Whatever you're reaching for right now probably worked a few times. Actually, that's a lie. Probably what it does is in the short term, it provides relief. Let's just say it's drinking. You have a long week. Friday comes, it's 6 o'clock, you're filled with energy and you're tanking over and you go, okay, it's time to hit the bar. You take that first sip of whatever it is, you fill in the blank that you enjoy, and then what happens to the mLs in your body? It could be the 3-hour marathon of the Housewives of New Jersey. It could be the gallon of ice cream that you have in the fridge ready for you. It could be the sexcapade that you like to go on the weekend. Whatever it is. So in the short term it works, but then there's this secret little thing that happens long term called association or linkage. When I reach for the alcohol once I'm tanked and it provides relief, a linkage in my brain happens that every time I tank, I start to think about what? In fact, I don't start to think about it, it becomes automatic. That's how we're a slave. That's how we're a slave to the mind and a slave to habit. Whatever it is for you that you're reaching for happens almost involuntarily. And then you think it's hopeless. There's nothing I can do. I'm not even in control. I'm not even in control of my life. This thing happens, and this now I'm drinking. Now I'm an alcoholic. Now I'm like, a constant overworker or whatever it is. So the idea is here you're going to break the cycle or break the chains because you're going to provide this famous thing called the gap of awareness. The gap of awareness is that little space between the feeling and the action. The feeling and the action. You're going to see one day, you're going to be there, and you're going to see the emotions come up, and then you're going to see right before it happens the hand moving for it. And then you're going to resist it. And you're going to take one more breath with that uncomfortable feeling. And if you can do one more breath tonight, and 2 more breaths tomorrow, and 3 more breaths the day after that, in 6 months, your capacity will increase. And the little things that irritate you now and drive you nuts now will feel like no biggie. And the irritating person in your life will actually feel no biggie. And you'll have much more patience and not much more tolerance with them. And if you're a parent, you can see how this can be a way to stop transgenerational trauma. Because whatever you're dealing with has been handed down from you from generation to generation to generation to generation with unconscious people who had no resources about how to break the cycle. But you're sitting in this room tonight and you have now a tool how to break the cycle. And so it's up to you to train yourself to resist so that you don't contaminate everybody else's situation. You actually create a buffer for them to learn how to deal with it themselves. Should we try?